The latest developments in Muzaffarnagar, where after 4 people were killed in 2 separate incidents. The situation remains tense but calm. There's a massive security outlay which has been put in place in the area, given that this comes less than 2 months after the massive communal clashes in which more than 60 people were killed in the area. Let's go over to NDTV's Tanima Biswas, who joins us now for more on this story. Tanima, after what happened in September, there was a tentative movement towards a peace process in the area, but of course this would have derailed it massively.
Right, Kajari, we have been speaking to authorities and even police officials in this area. What they have been saying is that there's constantly been a concerted effort ever since the clashes which took place early September to try and bring both the communities together, try and send the Muslims back to the villages which they have abandoned out of fear for their lives. There was a peace committee which had been set up by the administration, which included members from both communities who would be meeting sporadically at regular intervals in different parts of Muzaffarnagar to try and restore the confidence among the communities. Police officials had also deployed both paramilitary troops initially and then the provincial armed constabulary in some of these sensitive areas in some of the villages which saw the worst clashes in order to make sure that there were no violent incidents again. But what seems to have gone wrong is that there was not really an effort to try and make sure that on the ground the people could go back to their normal lives, because some of the villages that we have been going to, they were saying that they could not even step out of their villages in fear, despite the presence of the police who would come during the day, patrol during the day, but in the evening they would not be present there at all. So for them to go back to their normal lives, even to go and work in their fields, was a big challenge. In fact, the villages which saw the violence on Wednesday evening, we visited both Mohammadpur Raisingh as well as Hussainpur to figure out from the villages what strained ties between them, people who had been coexisting for so long, but what led to the violence on Wednesday.
28-year-old Aas Mohammad from the Mohammadpur Raisingh village, living in a refugee camp 3 kilometers from his home since the September riots. With the murder of 3 Muslims here in Hussainpur, the chances of him returning home have faded even more.
हमारी खेती बाड़ी थी वो भी छूट गई, घर मकान भी छूट गए और 10-12 लोगों के नाम हमारे मुकदमा दर्ज। अगर ये सोचो हम 10 आदमी 2 आदमी को मारने जाते हैं, क्या उनके खावे में, उनके हाथ में या पैर में ही गोली मारेंगे?
After the riots, ties between the 2 villages, just 3 kilometers apart, are so strained that they agreed on one thing: to literally not cross paths.
This is the spot where the bodies were found. Now this area falls in between Mohammadpur and Hussainpur village. Both villages have their fields on which farmers work. These fields are almost located side by side. Now, since September, since the communal clashes took place, there was an unspoken rule between the villagers that Mohammadpur farmers would come in the morning and work on their fields, and the Hussainpur villagers would come and work in the afternoon. But on Wednesday, this rule was violated, and Rajinder, one of the farmers from Mohammadpur Raisingh village, came face to face with villagers from Hussainpur.
Rajinder is one of the 8 arrested for the murders. The post-mortem found bullet injuries on the 3 bodies, but no guns have been recovered from those arrested.
So would you call these incidents communal clashes at the moment?
It's too early to say. These might be just because of enmity between some people. So investigation will point towards that in the time to come.
Villagers from Mohammadpur, who think the deaths were an isolated incident and not a communal clash, say they wanted to bring about a peace process to restore confidence among Muslims to return. Both villages now agree that the process seems to have been destabilized. Villagers from Hussainpur also claim they're being targeted because they have provided shelter to riot victims.
कोशिशें बस यही मान लिया एसडीएम के थ्रू चलती रही, जो भी बातें चलती रही एसडीएम के थ्रू चलती रही, उन्होंने टाइम देते रहे, हम शांति हो जाएगी, हम वो कर देंगे.
On Friday, the Khap leaders in Mohammadpur held a public meeting and decided that they will talk to Muslim leaders at a meeting next week. The effort to repair ties between Jats and Muslims is there, but it's caught in a cycle of violence here in rural Muzaffarnagar. With camera person Khurshid and Tanima Biswas in Muzaffarnagar, Kajari Sen for NDTV.